All right, so this is our periodization lesson, and this focuses on how we divide history into logical parts. So first, let's just take a look at the year, right? What year is this? It may seem like a silly question, but it's not. Right? Is it 2013 AD? Is it 2013 CE? Is it 221 RE? Or is it 1433 AH? Right? And if you're watching this lesson later than 2013, you can just adjust all these numbers accordingly. Right? What if it's all three? What if it's all three of these numbers, right? Or all four, depending on how you want to look at it, right? Is it 2013 AD, right? AD stands for Anno Domini. It's a Latin phrase. It means in the year of our Lord. It does not mean after death, right? The AD numbering system starts from the year that Jesus was born. It's a very Christian way of looking at history. It's a very Western way of looking at history. Or is it 2013 of the Common Era? And this is the newer phrase. You'll see it in a lot of history textbooks. It's more politically correct because it takes the Christian focus out of the world history system, although you'll notice that the numbering still dates from Jesus' birth, so it's kind of a fig leaf, one could say. Is it 221 RE, right? RE standing for the Republican era, as in since the founding of the French Republic after the French Revolution, which ended in 1792. See, the French thought that their revolution was a complete change in world history, a complete change for mankind, and so they thought that they should renumber all of history based on this momentous event for them. It might seem strange to us, but other people look at our numbering system of 2013 and think it's very strange. Right? Or is it 1434 AH, right? Meaning after the Hajj. The Hajj was Muhammad's migration to Mecca, which is the most important event in Islamic history. Right? Once again, may seem strange to us, but not to a Muslim, right? So you think about how we number history and how we divide history, how we divide time. It's not fixed. It's something that humans invented, and so therefore it's something that humans can debate. All right, so let's shift gears and look at the 6 periods of world history that we're going to use in this course. Now first, you should note that this is the advanced placement framework. It's highly debatable. In fact, I may ask you to do some assignments this year in which you argue about which date would be the appropriate cutoff for any period of world history. And this disagrees with your textbook, the Stearns textbook that we use sometimes for this course. And it also disagrees with the state of Washington's and Federal Way Public Schools' power standards, right? So we have, as you can see here, the AP framework, we have the textbook, we have the state, and we have the district. All 4 of these different groups have different ideas about these periods. But like I said, we're going to use the AP framework. It just makes the most sense to me, and it agrees with a lot of the materials that I have to teach with. So that's going to be the kind of the one that rules the day, even though, like I said, we're going to do some assignments where we maybe debate this. Okay, so the period 1, which was the origins of human beings, to 600 BCE, BCE standing for before the Common Era, right? And so we're going to look at technological and environmental transformations. Period 2, 600 BCE to 600 CE. And this is called by the AP Organization and Reorganization of Human Societies. You'll also hear me refer to it as the classical period, where classical civilizations like Rome and Greece and Han China and classical India were taking shape. Period 3 of world history from 600 to 1450 CE, sometimes called the post-classical period, but this is also regional and trans-regional interactions. Sorry, that's my dog flapping his ears. Hi, Rebel Dog. Period 4, 1450 to 1750 CE, global interactions. This is sometimes also called the early modern period. This is where human beings start to interact across very, very long distances. For example, across the Pacific and across the Atlantic Oceans. Period 5, this is 1750 to 1900 CE. This is the era of industrialization and global integration. Sometimes you'll hear me refer to this as simply the 19th century, from 1800 to 1900, or just the industrial period or the Industrial Revolution. So like I said, I mean, we come up with many, many names for these periods to help us think about them. And finally, period 6, which is 1900 to the present, also called by AP the accelerating global change and realignments. Sometimes we just refer to this as 20th century history, although now we're starting to, we're well into the 21st century, 13% to be exact. In fact, what name would you call our era? Right? Are we still a part of the 20th century? Are we still a part of this global change period? Or are we in something else? Right? Are we in the era of global terrorism, if we somehow see 9/11 as this transformative event? Are we in the post-American era? Or are we still in the American era? Right? Some people call the 20th century the American century because it was the century in which the United States of America became very powerful and dominant around the world. Or are we now in the Chinese century? Right? There's some people who think that China will regain her former glory and become the most dominant and sophisticated people in the world. Are we in the internet age? Does that define our era? Right? Will our descendants, our great-great-great-great-grandchildren look back on us 300 years from now and say, well, that was the internet age? Or is there something else that defines this period, right? And we'll probably never know. History is for our descendants to decide, and history will pass judgment on us for what we were and how we lived. And it's kind of strange to think about our great-great-great-grandchildren, treating us as historical artifacts, but indeed they will. So, think about this. How would you define the period of history that you live in? What label would you give it? These are all things that are what we do in history class. Right, and so you may ask yourself, what's the value of understanding periodization? And we may think about this as we wrap up this lesson, right? Periodization helps you with chronology. It helps you understand what happened first, second, third, etc., right? I mean, if you understand periodization, you understand that period 5 gave us the locomotive, period 6 gave us the airplane, and it helps you to think that way. It can also help you develop a mental model, a kind of picture in your head of various points in history, right? If you close your eyes and think about period 1, you should be thinking about ancient Egypt, or you should be thinking about cavemen, right? If you close your eyes and think about period 6 and see cavemen, you're off, right? So having these periods to, they kind of are like buckets to hold your thoughts about history in. It can also help you see how human civilizations develop unevenly, right? We're going to look at classical Rome and classical China in period 2, but in many ways the peoples of Mesoamerica, like the Mayans, didn't enter their classical period until period 3 of world history. So, civilizations develop unevenly, and sometimes having these periodization models helps you understand why one civilization can kind of be 500 or 1,000 years ahead of another civilization. That was my dog flapping his ears again. Finally, it can help you see continuity and change, which is a big theme in this course, right? For example, how did Western Europe change between period 3 and period 4? And then how did it stay the same? Right, so these, when you understand periodization, it can help you do a lot more things. So we're going to, try to use this a lot in this course. All right, so that's it. Thanks for watching, and talk to you later.